Good morning, class, good day, or good afternoon. It depends on the time that you are watching this video. No? So, uh, I will be here to discuss the last unit in risk management. Will be about risk management and internal audit activities. No? So, we've gone so long enough to discuss the things that we needed to understand in the subject risk management. And andito na tayo sa pinaka huli na unit, at yung pag-uusapan natin is tungkol sa syempre nature pa rin ng risk management, and also the things that you needed to understand about the internal audit activities. Now, in the learning objectives of this lesson, so it is divided into 4 learning objectives. Now, first is to understand risk assurance, its components, activities, and framework. Second is to analyze the risk assurance methodologies. Third is to determine the importance of internal audit in risk assurance. And fourth is to understand evolution of internal audit. Now, so, sa mga previous discussions natin, marami na tayo na pag-usapan tungkol sa risk assessment, risk management processes, even yung mga bagay na pwedeng gawin ng management when it comes to their somehow doing solutions kung meron silang ma-encounter na risk. No? So, dito sa lesson 6, yung pinaka-focus natin is to give the management the assurance that the risk that they might encounter will be solved, and what are the ways that they should do in order for them to give the employees the assurance that those specific risks will be solved. So, yun yung pinaka-learning objectives natin sa lesson na to. So, to better understand the whole unit, we should first define what is risk assurance. So, it refers to the processes and activities undertaken by an organization to provide confidence that it effectively identifies, assesses, manages, and monitors its risk to achieve its objectives. So, kung na-define na natin ng iba't ibang klase, kung ano yung risk, iba-iba yung mga risk na pwede nilang ma-encounter. Kapag sinabi naman natin na risk assurance, yan, from the word itself, assurance, giving the employees the assurance, the satisfaction that a specific risk that they might encounter can be effectively identified, assessed, managed, and monitored. And there are some ways that a business can give assurance to the employees kapag may na-encounter sila na risk. And for them to be able to achieve it, syempre, dapat inline pa rin with the company's VMGO. Yan. Vision, mission, goals, and objective. Yan. And when we say primary objectives, it ensures that an organization has a robust risk management framework in place, allowing it to navigate uncertainties and potential challenges in a controlled and proactive manner. So, when we say proactive, we are making a solution not just for the benefit of the present day, but we are making solutions that can be used for the long run, for hanggang future. Ginawa natin ang solusyon ngayon na magagamit pa rin natin ng pangmatagalan. And syempre, when we say primary objective, iyon yung pinaka-importanting bagay na dapat nating sundin, pinaka-importanting bagay na dapat nating ma-achieve. And beyond experiencing risk, the idea of primary objective shouldn't be left out. Hindi dapat siya mawala. Even if there are uncertainties that came, even if there are potential challenges that came, the management should still ensure that the organization will still fulfill its primary objectives. So, iyan naman yung ibig sabihin ng primary objectives. So, those two concepts, the risk assurance and primary objectives, is somehow the solution. Yun dapat yung itinatanim na mindset ng mga companies na when it comes to facing some dilemmas, they should better understand that there are still objectives that they should fulfill, and there are still assurance that they should give for the employees. No, so yun yung somehow relevance no nung dalawa na yun na konsepto. Yan, in the key components of risk assurance, it includes the evaluation of risk management processes, internal controls and governance structures. It involves assessing the effectiveness of strategies and mechanisms in place to identify and respond to risks that could impact the achievement of organizational goals. To better understand the activities in risk assurance, it is divided into different types, no, different activities. No, so gasgas na yung term na strategic, operational, because since the first lesson, we've already tackled this kind of terms. No, but when we are talking about risk assurance and when we say strategic, it is the potential events and uncertainties that can impact an organization's ability to achieve its strategic objectives and long-term goals. So, literally, kapag sinabi natin strategic, when it comes to risk assurance, lahat ng mga bagay na magkakos no, ng dilema sa strategic objectives no, ng isang kumpanya at kung ano yung mga solutions na naiisip nila na makakatulong para continuously ma-achieve yung kanilang VMGO, doon nagpo-fall under yung risk assurance na strategic. No, because there are lots of events, there are lots of dilemmas or risks that they might encounter for them to not achieve their goals and objective. And when they created no a specific solutions na tungkol sa problema na kinakaharap ng kanilang companies when it comes to strategizing, etc. No, so, doon mag-fall under sa risk assurance activity na strategic yun. So, again, when we are talking about strategic, we are handling no, the vision, mission, goals, and objective of the company. Now, next is operational. So, the risk of loss resulting from inadequate or failed internal processes, system, people, or external events. No, on the other hand, kapag sinabi naman nating operational, lahat ng mga solutions na naiisip nila or lahat ng solutions na ginagawa nila para hindi mahinder yung kanilang business process or yung day-to-day operations. No, sa operational na risk assurance activities naman siya magfo-fall under. No, so I know naman na you know the differences between these terminologies, but again on the previous lessons that we have, ang pinag-uusapan natin doon ay yung mga problems na kinakaharap strategic-wise, operational-wise. Kapag sinabi nating risk assurance activities na ang term ay strategic and operational, ito na yung solutions no, na ibinibigay or ibinababa ng management para maresolbahan no, yung problema sa mga certain things na ito. So, next is financial. So, from the word itself, no, all of the solutions that they do or they create or all of the risk management plans that they did na related sa pera, dito siya magfo-fall under sa financial. Fourth is compliance risk. No? So, this risk arises when an organization fails to comply with applicable laws and regulations, etc. So, kung nagkakaroon man sila ng problema legal-wise, no, hindi nakapag-comply ng papers, meron silang hindi nasunod na batas, tapos ano yung solusyon na ginawa nila, ito yun babagsak sa compliance risk. Ayan, in risk assurance frameworks, no, syempre, dahil ang pinag-uusapan natin dito ay methods, paraan, no, plano, hindi naman pwedeng wala tayong structured model na susundin. No, so when we say risk assurance framework, it is a structured models or methodologies that organizations use to establish, implement, and continuously improve their risk management processes. These frameworks provide a systematic approach to identify, assess, mitigate, and monitor risk, aiming to provide assurance that the organization can achieve its objectives while effectively managing uncertainties. No, so to better understand what is risk assurance framework, technically, yun lang naman yung mga methods na somehow naka-infographic, naka-graph, naka-table ng mga bagay na kung ano yung klaseng problema na dumating doon sa management, meron na silang solutions na gagawin. And those solutions that they created, it must be used to identify, assess, mitigate, and monitor risk. Kasi for example, you as a business owner face a financial problem or financial risk, yet you created a solution that will only address the operational risk. So hindi magiging effective na yung risk assurance framework na gagamitin mo. Kasi imagine you are facing money problems, pera, tapos ang naisip mo na solusyon ay solusyonan yung problema sa operations, pero yung pera yung dapat i-address. So, hindi siya magiging effective. Kaya yung risk assurance framework, which is a structured model or methodologies, it should be specified only on a specific risk that they are facing or that they are encountering. So, yun naman yung risk assurance framework. And under risk assurance framework, there are lots of principles that has been used by the industry way back pa. Maraming mga basis na yung ginagamit ng mga industries and even companies para makagawa sila ng isang effective risk assurance framework. So una na dun is yung COSO, which is the Committee of Sponsoring Organization of a Tradeway Commission's Framework. So it is an organization that develops guidelines for businesses to evaluate internal controls, risk management, and fraud deterrence. So, when we say COSO, Committee of Sponsoring Organization of the Tradeway Commission Framework, it is based on America. Sa Amerika siya nag-originate. And it mainly states all of the guidelines, methods that can be used by the organization to somehow create an effective and efficient risk assurance framework for their business. Now, it highlighted all of the things that can be done in internal controls. It also highlighted the risk management processes that a business can do, and also what are the things that they should consider when they face a fraud deterrence. So, imagine as a business owner, you are creating a risk assurance framework. Hindi ba't mas mainam na meron tayong basis kung paano tayo magsisimulang gumawa? And one of the basis that we can use or the industry can use is called COSO, or the Committee of Sponsoring Organization of the Tradeway Commission Framework. Next is the ISO 31000. So we've heard a lot about the ISO and the ISO 9001. Yan, paulit-ulit na natin yung naririnig dito sa discussions natin. And since ang ISO, ang hinahandle niya ay business processes, mainly it is a family of auditing. Pamilya ng auditing yung ISO. Maraming bagay yung chine-check ng agency na ISO. Meron silang specific na framework na ang sole focus ay tungkol lang sa risk management standard. So, it is called ISO 31000. And this specific ISO is developed to provide guidelines and principles for effective risk management. Kasi, again, as a business, they should be able to address problems even if it is not yet coming. Hindi pa man din yun dumadating, dapat meron na silang solutions na nakahanda. Para, sabi nga dito, when we use the ISO 31000 or the standards of ISO when it comes to risk management, it emphasizes a risk management process that is integrated into an organization's overall governance and management systems. Now, there are numbers of auditing firms, internal auditing firms, that can reassess, that can check if the processes of a business is effective and efficient. And kapag ang pinag-uusapan natin ay tungkol sa risk management, yung ISO 31000 yung isang effective no na framework na pwedeng makapagbigay ng assurance sa business owners, sa employees, and even sa external, which is the suppliers, and also to the consumers, na the processes or the possible solutions that a business have is effective and efficient because it is already checked, no, based on the risk management standards from ISO. No, so these two things, no, iba yung ISO 31000 sa COSO framework. Magkaiba siya kasi ang main focus natin dito sa ISO 31000 ay risk management standard. Unlike dun sa COSO, madami. May internal controls, may risk management, and may fraud deterrence. So, mas malawak yung framework na COSO. Yan. Syempre, if we already finished talking about the frameworks, no, ano yung mga pwedeng gamiting basis to create, no, a effective risk assurance framework, you should be able to understand also what are the methodologies that can be used, no, in order for the business to better understand or to better create a risk assurance framework. No, so all of those methodologies, as stated here, is a systematic approaches or sets of procedures that organizations use to implement risk management processes and provide assurance regarding the effectiveness of their risk management practices. These methodologies guide the identification, assessment, mitigation, and monitoring of risk to help organizations achieve their objective. Now, so, if we will be using these risk assurance methodologies in simple terms, no, for example, you are a student, you are facing a financial problem, wala kang pera, wala kang baon, tapos nakaisip ka ng paraan kung paano makakaipon, which can be, no, converted or pwede nating i-relate dun sa idea ng risk assurance framework. Yung methodologies naman, kung alam mo na kung paano mag-ipon, etong methodologies, ano yung unang mga paraan, pangalawang paraan, pangatlong paraan na gagawin mo para makaipon ka dahil nakakita ka ng paraan kung paano mag-ipon. No, so, kung ilalagay natin sa business context, no, so, kung nakakita na tayo ng framework na pagbabasihan, meron na tayong mga frameworks na gagamitin para mas maayos nating ma-identify, ma-assess, ma-monitor yung risk, ano na yung mga specific na paraan na gagawin natin para ma-achieve natin yung inilagay natin sa framework. No? So, yun yung risk assurance methodologies. And, syempre, pag gumagawa tayo ng methodologies, we are assessing things and we are identifying things. Kasi hindi natin po pwedeng hindi tayo po pwedeng maglagay ng specific solutions, specific methods kung hindi naman natin na-assess, hindi natin na-identify yung mga risk, no, na dumadating. No, so, including sa risk identification and assessment is, una, yung risk registers na napag-aralan na natin dun sa previous lessons, na yung R1 hanggang R12. Now, in risk registers, it creates and maintain a comprehensive list of potential risks, their causes, and potential impacts. Now, di ba, pinag-aralan din natin yung severity, kung low ba siya, high ba siya, medium lang ba siya, kung long-term risk ba siya, medium-term risk, or short-term risk. Now, so, yun yung risk register. The business should know, or should have a comprehensive list of potential risks that they might encounter, what are the causes and their impacts. Yun daw yung unang matter na dapat isaalang-alang ng mga businesses. Now, second one is the risk workshops and interviews. Engaging stakeholders through workshop and interviews to identify and assess risk collaboratively. Kagaya ng lagi nating napapag-usapan sa klase, no, na in the decision making, no, in strategizing, in making a strategic plan, it is important, no, for the business owners to include the employees because they know and they feel and they are the ones who felt, no, the risk that a business encounters. Literal na hindi naman malalaman ng mga may-ari ng negosyo ang problema kung walang nagsasabing mga tauhan. No? So, dapat kasama sila sa decision making. And it can be conducted through risk workshops and interviews. Next is the SWOT analysis, evaluating the organization's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to identify internal and external risks. So, it is a business jargon. We already heard a lot about SWOT analysis, and I won't identify it furthermore dahil kapag sinabi natin SWOT, we are looking deeply, no, on the capabilities, capacity, shortcomings, threats, and chances and opportunities of the business. So, yun yung importance ng SWOT analysis, kung bakit siya nandito sa risk identification and assessment. In measuring the risk and its quantification, no, pag sinabi natin quantifying, we are using numbers 1 to 5, 1 to 7. Pag risk measurement can be also through numbers or words, no, high, low, medium, short, medium, or long. Ganyan. So, bukod sa i-assess natin, no, yung SWOT, yung interviews, yung risk registers, important din na maintindihan natin na merong quantifiable na data. No, malalaman natin na low yung impact kasi 1 yung na-assess. O pwedeng high yung impact because based on the quantifiable or quantification ng risk measurement ay 5 siya. No, so, what models or what kind of things that can be used, no, to quantify or to measure the risk. No, so, meron tayong 3 ginagamit dito: risk scoring models, scenario analysis, and key risk indicators. Risk scoring models assigning numerical values to risk based on factors such as likelihood and impact to prioritize them effectively. Alam niyo na yan, no? Yung table, may 1 to 5, may 1 to 7. It can be low, it can be catastrophic, no? Yung klase ng risk ay pwedeng pumatay na ng lahat ng tao or mag-cause na ng fatal, no, sa tao. No, so, yun yung risk scoring models. We are using numerical values 1 to 5 or 1 to 7. When we say scenario analysis, no, assessing the potential impact of various risk scenarios on organizational objective. Yeah, from the word itself, scenario analysis. It is a narrative. It is a word. And we are not using numbers. No? Karen, nagkaroon ka ng financial risk. I-write mo lang siya, no, as statement na currently we are facing financial risk. To be exact, we are short with 1 million pesos. Scenario analysis. Kasi, tapos i-stipulate mo lang doon yung reason kung bakit ka na short. Ganong klase naman yung scenario analysis. And, when we say key risk indicators, no, establishing measurable indicators that signal the presence of risk of a specific risk. Kung meron tayong key performance indicator, na ang ibig sabihin ay, yun yung mga important points, yung mga important processes na kailangan sundin para ma-achieve yung buong business process. Kapag key risk indicators naman, ito yung mga nakakabahalang risk. Yung mga risk na nakakakaba na dapat i-address mo na bago yung iba. So, yun naman yung KRI. Yan. So, in integration with internal audit, at dito na pumapasok yung industry. Dito na pumapasok yung mga agencies, no, na somehow external, sila yung galing sa labas, hindi sila yung nasa loob. Pero sila yung maaaring mag-check. Sila yung somehow third party na pwedeng mag-check nung buong proseso sa loob ng isang industry. And syempre, it is important, no, for the businesses to know, no, the perspective of other people about their business processes and how they solve their problems. Kasi kung ang pagbabasihan lang lagi natin ay yung perspective from inside, yung perspective from internal, syempre sa thinking ng mga business owners, they do not do something. Hindi sila gumagawa ng bagay na mali or they didn't act wrong, di sila gumagawa ng bagay na mali. Kasi syempre sa thinking nila, tama naman yung mga processes na ginagawa nila. No, but then again, it is important to know, no, the perspective, the comments, the recommendations from third parties who are really knowledgeable about internal auditing. So, yan sabi dito, internal audit plays a significant role in providing independent and objective assurance, adding value to the organization's operation. So, ano lang, simple lang yan. No? Pag may problema ka, tapos humingi ka ng comment sa iba, baka meron silang better solution na maisip. Parang ganun yung role, no, ng internal auditor or internal audit sa mga business. Yan. So, the relationship with internal audit, first is they explore the collaboration between risk assurance and internal audit functions, discuss how both functions complement each other in providing a comprehensive risk assurance. Yan, the benefits and challenges of risk assurance. The benefits first is they discuss the positive outcomes of effective risk assurance, including improved decision-making, stakeholder confidence, and organizational resilience. On the other hand, there are challenges, no, like address common challenges faced in implementing risk assurance process, such as data quality issues, resistance to change, and evolving risk landscapes. To deeply understand, no, the role of internal audit, there are concepts, no, that you should understand. The internal audit is an independent, objective assurance and consulting activity designed to add value and improve an organizational operations. It helps an organization accomplish its objective by bringing a systematic, disciplined approach to evaluate and improve the effectiveness of risk management, control, and governance processes. So, just like what I've said earlier, the key role of the internal audit is to give, no, the industries a better perspective on how will they address their problems internally, or how will they address the problems that encounters from the inside, no? Kasi sila yung tatayo na third party, sila yung tatayo yung external party na magre-reassess, na mag-check, mag-identify, mag-monitor ng mga business processes, most especially the risk management processes that they do inside, to, you know, to better understand na this thing isn't effective, that this thing is not helpful, no, so they will recommend some things, no. So yun yung importance kung bakit kailangan maunawaan na importante ang internal audit sa lahat ng industries. So again, this is a happy job, no. Masayang trabaho yun kapag naging internal audit ka, kasi well, technically speaking, you are looking for something wrong about a company. No, even the biggest corporations that we have in the world relies on the internal audit of the auditors. No, they relies on the recommendations, on the suggestions, no, to better parang somehow to give the quality and better services for people. Kasi sila nga na nasa loob, hindi naman nila makikita yon, kasi ang nakikita nila ay yung mga ginagawa ng nila na tama. Pero kung meron kang third party na mag-check, no, mas malalaman nila na, ay, okay, we did something wrong here. Na this process isn't that much helpful, because there are some people and there are some agencies that give them, no, the light, no, that give them clarity about that specific things, or about that specific processes. So, yun yung importance ng internal audit. In the evolution of internal audit, no, we are using, no, a lots of ways on how or how the agencies or how the internal auditing firms assesses the business processes. And all throughout the years, since then, simula pa noon, ginagawa na to, pinapractice na yung internal auditing. And, yun, pag-uusapan natin dito sa succeeding slides, no, kung paano nga ba nagsimula, no, yung internal audit. Sabi dyan, over the years, internal audit has transformed from a primarily compliance-focused function to a strategic partner that adds value to an organization's operation. So, in the first evolution of internal audit, which is the origins, pre-20th century, sobrang tagal na. The main focus of this evolution is the internal auditing has its roots in accounting and financial control. Historical records suggest that internal auditing functions existed in various forms in ancient civilization, including the Roman Empire. Nung una daw na evolution ng internal audit, which is the origins, ang main focus lang nila ay i-check yung accounting and financial controls. That's it. Yun lang daw yung chine-check nila tungkol lang sa pera nung pre-20th century. And even on the times in ancient civilization, including the Roman Empire, meron na daw talagang nag-audit ng financial records. So, dun pala nagsimula yung evolution ng internal audit. Pera lang pala yung chine-check. And that started way back the pre-20th century, which is called the origins. So, yun yung unang evolution. In the early 20th century, dalawa na yung ginamit na pag-check ng internal audit, which is the emphasis on financial controls and the rise of professional organization. Now, internal audit primarily focused on financial controls and ensuring the accuracy of financial reporting. So, kagaya nung lagi natin nababanggit na quotation na money is the blood of a business. Kaya rin siguro na inuuna nila na bigyang pansin o i-check yung galaw ng pera. Kaya they emphasized on the financial controls. On the other hand, noong early 20th century, meron pang umusbong na isang internal audit, which is the rise of professional organization. Now, professional organizations like the Institute of Internal Auditors or IIA were established to promote standards and best practices. So, aside from checking the financial accuracy and ensuring the financial report way back, ginagamit din yung professional organization or they also check the standards and the best practices of the industry na iyon. So, we use that specific internal audit in the early 20th century. So, unlike dun sa origins na ang chine-check lang ay yung accuracy ng papel o ng pera, dito sa dalawang to, sa rise of professional organization and financial controls, bukod sa pera ay chine-check na rin nila yung standards and best practices ng industry. So, yun yung somehow second evolution ng internal audit. And then, in the mid-20th century, we also used two different internal audits, which is the post-World War II expansion and focus on compliance. The expansion of business after World War II led to the need for more robust internal control system. And the focus on compliance, the IA played a significant role in ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements. So, dito na na-insert yung internal control system and also the regulatory requirements. Unlike on the previous two evolutions, parang ang focus niya ay pera. Dito, nagkaroon na ng regulatory requirements in the mid-20th century. And then, in the late 20th century, syempre, parang kung iisipin mo, palawak na siya ng palawak. There are expansions beyond finance and risk management emphasis. The internal audit began to expand beyond financial controls into operational and compliance auditing. In the risk management emphasis, there were a growing emphasis on identifying and managing operational risk. So, palawak na ng palawak yung mga ino-audit from the origins, which is the pre-20th century hanggang late. From financial to processes, to auditing the money, tapos ngayon nasama na rin yung risk management and also the compliance. So, yun na yung somehow changes na meron sa evolution ng internal auditing. And now, yung ginagamit natin sa 21st, which is the ERM na nabanggit ko na rin sa inyo to in the previous lesson, and the technology integration, no, that increased use of technology in auditing processes, including data analytics and continuous monitoring. Na-focus na siya somehow sa mga system-based, no, such as computer, na yung mga system na ginagamit ng mga businesses to somehow fasten their processes. Bukod sa pera, chine-check na rin yung data, yung system. Dahil nasa modern world na nga tayo. Sa ERM naman, so internal audit embraced the concept of ERM, broadening its focus to include strategic risk. Yun, so yung term na ERM, Enterprise Risk Management, yun yung ginagamit natin ngayon. So, to somehow address the risk management or the risk management problems that a industry face. And again, in this early 21st century, it is still utilized. Kahit naman yung origins, ginagamit pa rin siya. But then again, the changes that has been entailed, yung nangyayari na sa bawat businesses ngayon, ay malaki na yung nagbago. So, syempre, dapat yung internal auditing processes ay nababago din. And another evolution of internal audit in the early 2000s is the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. The enactment of SOX in 2002 heightened the importance of internal controls and corporate governance. And another thing is the increased accountability. The internal audit gained a more prominent role in assessing and reporting on internal controls. So, it may sound the same sa iba, pero yun, meron naman din silang differences kasi iba-iba yung pinaka-nature ng ina-audit, dun sa SOX and sa increased accountability. On the mid-2000 onwards, there are two internal auditing processes that has been used. Yung strategic business partner. Internal audit evolved into a strategic business partner providing insights beyond traditional assurance and focus on value-added activities. The greater emphasis on value-added activities including operational efficiency, reviews, and strategic advisory roles. And in the current trends, now, we are using the agile internal audit, data analytics and AI, and dynamic risk assessment. So, all of these current trends, it was circulating and it is system-based, kaya makabago na nga siya dahil may computer na kasama. So, there are a lots of evolution of internal audit that has been used by the industries from the pre-20th century up to this day, the current trends. But all of those evolutions that happen, iba-iba yung nature niya. Maaring yung dati na ginamit ay nagagamit pa rin ngayon at mas na-develop lang ng mga internal auditor. So, in the objectives of internal audit, syempre, hindi naman po pwedeng nag-audit lang sila tapos wala naman silang goal na gustong ma-achieve. Unang gusto nilang ma-achieve is to give assurance of control effectiveness. Discuss the impact of effective controls on risk management. And then the second objective is the compliance with policies and regulation. Highlight the role of internal audit in ensuring the organization compliance with laws, regulations, and internal policies. And yeah, so that somehow ends the discussion in lesson 6. And again, for this unit, we are focusing on the risk assurance, the frameworks, methods that has been used by the industries, and also the internal audit activities that has been used from the pre-20th century up to this current trend na 2020. So, iyon yung pinaka focus ng lesson 6. So, if you have questions regarding the specific things that has been written on this presentation, pwede nyo naman akong itap, pwede nyo naman akong i-message sa class GC natin. And yung last part nitong video na to ay i-explain ko lang kung ano yung inyong project. No, so, sa final project nyo sa risk management, you will be creating a risk management plan. So, sabi dito, think of any business you wanted to explore and research, then create a micro-risk management plan about it. So, for the format-wise, so this is a micro, na maliit lang na risk management plan. Sa format, ilalagay nyo yung title page. Pipili kayo ng isang business. And then, magdidig deep kayo about dun sa business na yun. Magkakanta kayo ng research. Tapos, ilalagay nyo yung business name, business logo, group members ninyo. And then, second page will be the introduction or the brief introductory about the business you chose. And then, include the VMGO or of the business. And then, who are the market of that specific business. And upon researching, enlist some common risk exposure and risk ID and explain why. So, tingin nyo dun sa business na yun, ano kaya yung mga risk na kinakaharap nila at bakit yun kayo yung kinakaharap nila na risk. Pili lang kayo galing dun sa discussion. And then, sa effective risk response, it is a narrative or statement. Pwede nyo na ilagay yung reasons na sa tingin nyo ay ayun yung mga paraan na pwede nilang gamitin to solve the problem. I-explain nyo lang. And then, sa 7th part, which is the recommended solution for the risk chosen, nandun yung explanation ng solution. So, dito sa part 5, 6, pipili lang kayo dun sa discussion, effective risk response, and list of common risk exposure and risk ID. Dun sa 7i, kayo yung gagawa ng solution dun sa napili nyo na risk. So, this micro risk management plan should be submitted to me on December 17, and only the group leader will submit it to me, at ipiprint siya sa A4 na ilalagay sa yellow transparent folder. Yellow yung folder, tas transparent yung taas. So, this is a group project. Kayo na bahala mag-decide ng group. Basta 4 to 5 groups lang per class. And you can be creative on this, add some pictures, images that will support the plan that you conduct. Since this is a group project, only the leader is required to submit the final paper in its hard copy. So, again, in this thing or in this matter, kung meron kayong question about sa micro risk management plan na gagawin nyo, pwede nyo naman akong i-message or pwede nyo naman akong lapitan. Nasa office lang naman ako. Ayan, so, thank you for watching this video and listening to me, and I do hope na you understand the discussion in the last unit, and of course, sana magawa niyo ng maigi yung final project niyo sa risk management. Ayan, thank you so much, and see you when I see you.